Okay, I hope you're ready for a hot take because here it comes. Psychedelic integration is totally overrated. It's a buzzword. It's something that's massively misunderstood. And if I can be honest with you guys here, it's something that if you're relying on integration to support you through your psychedelic use process, you've kind of already messed up and you're putting the emphasis in the wrong place. So in today's video, now that I kind of have your attention with my little hot take and clickbait here, we're going to be talking about in much more nuance and detail why preparation is so much more valuable and important for proper psychedelic use than integration, and why you shouldn't be relying on integration to support you. So please join me. Okay, so let me keep it real with you guys here off the bat. So yes, sure, obviously the title and the intro to this video were clickbaity on purpose, right? Yes, I'm kind of testing the algorithm to see what performs well here on YouTube, what people respond to. I'm also, in a mood to be a little bit playful and tongue in cheek with you guys. Yeah. So I'm coming out the gate a little hot here with a kind of hard opinion, but I want to be clear also that I genuinely actually believe what I said, and that the premise here, even though if I gave a spicy twist on it, is genuinely my thoughts, my feelings. So in this video, we're going to be unpacking why I think psychedelic integration is overrated, why I think it's massively misunderstood, and why I think preparation is really so much more important than integration. In fact, if you do psychedelic work properly and you really have a successful go of it, you probably don't even need integration on the back end. So I know that might sound a little controversial. There will be therapists who disagree with me and, talking heads who disagree with me, or perhaps you yourself disagree with me, but allow me to explain my perspective as someone who works with people around psychedelics and also someone who's taken psychedelics myself for decades, right? I have a lot of personal experience with psychedelics. And sure, I've more than once rattled myself pretty deeply with these substances. And so I want to give you my personal take on why integration really is the wrong emphasis. Preparation is where it's at. So let's talk about it. So, quick TLDR basics on psychedelic integration, because it is one of these kind of buzzword terms that a lot of people don't even know what it means, even among psychedelic therapists, quite frankly. Like, you go talk with other psychedelic therapists about what does integration mean to you, they will all have a very different response. So, there's not even consensus in the field, let alone amongst the general public. Let me give you like a basic understanding of what people think it is and what I think it is, and we'll kind of go from there. So for a lot of people, psychedelic integration is this idea of aftercare support after you've kind of gone through this big kind of experiential difference from your normal kind of state of consciousness. So you've gone through this massive shift of consciousness that includes epiphanies at a mental level, at a somatic level, at an emotional level, that can really reorient your understanding of yourself and reality and the world around you and other people. And this can bring up a lot of questions and a lot of fears, concerns, confusions, internal conflicts, stuff like that. The idea is that psychedelic integration is there to kind of help support you in the back end, right? To help you kind of return back to a whole, integrated, grounded, default mode of consciousness state, or at least that's how most people think about it. I think the way the term was originally intended by, as far as I can understand, Stan Grof and others kind of his era and ilk, the idea is more that a lot of times we have epiphanies and realizations during psychedelic experiences that we don't want to just let pass into the stream of all the other things we've ever experienced that we just kind of forget. Right. So think about how much of your life experience just passes through you. You don't really hold on to it. There's no meaning there. It doesn't stay with you. It just passes through. And how much of your memories are just, off in the past, never to be accessed again. The idea is that from his point of view, when we have these realizations, we don't just let them fade into the rest of our memories, but we integrate them, we hold on to them, we bring them into our sense of being, our identity, our value system, whatever level of ourself we're working with, and therefore into our life, and therefore able to kind of take the pearls of wisdom and let them enrich us as a human being, to use a metaphor here. So that's one other understanding of integration. That's kind of the Stan Grof, like what they mean, right? What a psychedelic therapist means, as opposed to what the public means. From my point of view, integration is a much more neurological event. So the way I see it is that real integration is essentially taking some learning, discovery, some state, some feeling, some way of being that you've kind of unearthed or unpacked or discovered on a psychedelic experience, and wiring that into your nervous system, right? So, in other words, doing memory reconsolidation and using this new feeling, state, experience, understanding, whatever it is, to rewire some part of whatever needs unwiring in you, whether this is a fear or an anxiety or an insecurity or a piece of painful memory from your past or what have you, and kind of integrate in this new thing to undo that and help you kind of expand your sense of self or redefine your sense of self. So for me, there's a much more mechanistic, neurological process, rather, not thing, that is really what integration is. It's not just discussing what happens or what that meant to you or how you feel about the trip you had, or, it's not just this vague, touchy-feely woo-woo thing. From my point of view, it's actually much more specifically a process of rewiring something in the brain much more actively. I would call that kind of narrow or small or acute integration. And then there's the larger, broader integration, which is really about your life's work of taking your progress and your growth psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, somatically, at all levels of your being, the way you've grown and the way you're learning and evolving and healing and awakening, and weaving that into every area of your life, right? So real integration to me is about integrating spiritual epiphanies and understandings into the broadest scope of your life. How do you show up at the DMV, for example, as a spiritually awakened person, right? How do we cross-contextually take what we've learned and really allow that to be embodied and expressed, right? And how do we reconcile the larger ontological, epistemological, philosophical questions, challenges that arise from psychedelic experiences cross-contextually in a way that allows us to feel truly whole and settled in a clear model and a clear worldview that is truly our own, that's truly authentic, and that really is accurate, that really maps well for us. I know that's a lot of jargon. I hope that makes sense, that last bit. So we're, in the broader sense of integration, from my point of view, we are really trying to weave together all the different aspects of our being into a nice, coherent whole. That might be a simpler way of putting it. So hopefully that kind of defines integration a little bit for you from different angles. So kind of what the kind of basic, what's the word, like the kind of social media conception of it is, versus what like was really intended by the originators of the term, versus how I personally see it. And now I want to explain to you why I think it's overemphasized and, why preparation is better. So let's talk about that. So here's the problem that I see with integration, right? With this model of focus on integration. Now, is aftercare and support after a big shakeup of any kind useful, important, beautiful, helpful? Of course. I think we can't not have integration. We can't just but I think if we're putting the emphasis there, then we're going about the process in the wrong way. So from my point of view, there's a model of psychedelic therapy out there, which I do not do, and I don't agree with. I think it's a bit unethical, to be frank, where you kind of meet with a client a couple times and kind of talk to them about their history or what they want to work on, maybe 2-3 sessions, and then you give them a bunch of psilocybin or whatever, give them a big dose of a psychedelic and see what happens for them, right? Maybe it's their first time ever taking a psychedelic, and then you support them on the back end with integration therapy, right? To me, this is really foolish, because this means that really you haven't established a lot of trust with the client yet. From a therapist point of view, you haven't really built that rapport and that therapeutic alliance. You haven't taught them how to meet emergent phenomena and new body sensations and new epiphanies and new emotions arising in their own nervous system. So they have no map of how to meet the experience, right? So, and then they go and they have this big experience. It's probably going to be totally different than what they imagined or project, because it almost always is, even for those of us that are familiar with psychedelics. And then on the back end, there's probably going to, you're basically using integration to manage the fallout of whatever the heck happened, whatever this big experience was for the person during the session. And often a lot of these sessions are fairly high dose, right? So we're talking 2 to 5 grams of psilocybin or more, right? And that's, to me, that is so kooky. That's so not the way to go here, right? So from my point of view, what's missing for most people when it comes to work with psychedelics is understanding how to work with our own nervous system, how to properly meet the medicine and the layers of stuff that come up for us. So for example, right, a lot of times that come up anxiety phase or stage that we go through in the beginning, a lot of times issues, the body's talking in that moment. There are issues that arise and bubble up when we're going through that wave of come up anxiety. And that is really fertile territory. That's an opening and an invitation to do therapeutic work at that first initial phase, right? But for a lot of psychedelic therapists or a lot of people who use psychedelics, that's something to just kind of get through and kind of discard and ignore and get to the kind of plateau phase or the beginning of the peak. And then you kind of start doing the work. But by kind of brushing off all of that come up anxiety, you're really missing this massive window for where the work is, right? So if the therapist and the client both don't know how to meet the content that's arising at a somatic level, at an emotional level, maybe at a kind of cognitive rumination level, if we don't know how to recognize what's happening or how to meet it, then we're really relying on these kinds of epiphanies and these kinds of realizations. But I think that that's really missing where the real work is, where the real opportunity for healing is. And so from my point of view, I've talked to other psychedelic therapists who I respect massively, who are highly skilled, and they've echoed this back at me. So this is a feeling amongst people who are familiar with these medicines, that really it's way better to slow down, prep meaning do therapy just between the client and the therapist for a while first, to build a rapport and a trust there. Do some bottom up processing, do some somatic therapy, do some stuff, and start to teach the person how to engage their nervous system, how to engage the medicine and the feelings, the waves of fear, the waves of joy, the waves of curiosity, the waves of confusion, the bubbling up layers of stuff that comes up, how to engage that in the right way that maximizes healing, right? So if you know that going in, and here's the other thing, if you're aware of your window of tolerance going in, right? So in other words, a lot of therapists have no concept, and a lot of psychedelic users have no concept of the window of tolerance, which is this idea that there's kind of a window, there we go, there's a window inside which we want to keep our nervous system where we are not too overwhelmed or too dissociated and numbed out, where we are properly able to engage what's happening without it being too much, right? Now, obviously with psychedelics, it's really easy to overwhelm the nervous system and be way outside your window of tolerance. And then it's really hard to do effective therapeutic work or healing work or anything like that, right? So another big thing here is that you want to teach the client or teach yourself, or, the therapist should also be aware of the dosage that this person can tolerate. And if that's going to put them outside the window of tolerance, and whether that's going to work against their ability to heal, right? So the idea being that you don't want to do psychedelic therapy that blows someone way outside the window of tolerance, because then they're just white knuckling it through the experience for however many hours. And then you have to rely on, again, integration on the back end to try to support them to return themselves to normal. This is, to me, why it's insane, for example, to go do, you're brand new, you've never done ayahuasca before, but you've decided you're going to go to a retreat in South America, and you're going to do 4 days or 3 days or even 2 days in a row of high dose ayahuasca and blow yourself out. And then people come back and they're rattled for weeks afterwards, and they're not sure what's real and what isn't, and they don't know how to parse what happened. And there's a massive lack of preparation. So from my point of view, the skill, the art, the real magic of psychedelic therapy is in the preparation. It's in understanding your nervous system, understanding your window of tolerance, understanding the medicine, knowing your dose, knowing how to meet the medicine in the right way, and work with the emergent phenomena in your nervous system in the right way. There's a way to hold your nervous system, a way to engage all that makes it highly, excuse me, highly effective for healing. That's good preparation. So however long it takes to understand that and get that and feel competent with that and have that trust with your therapist, because they're going to be there, your lifeline, holding you up also in case something really big, you hit some sort of big bubble of something you didn't know was there. They're there for you. You want that trust. You want that trust in the medicine. You want that trust in your own nervous system. You want that trust with a therapist. And all that is built in prep. Okay? So if you get all that right, and I've seen this over and over and over, if you get all that right, then when you go through you take the medicine, you go into the journey, what happens is you know exactly how to meet what comes up. You know exactly what to do. You know how to work with the stuff and resolve it and heal. You know how to listen to the content that's coming up and not get confused by it. And because of that, you will have real healing experiences. You'll have real therapeutic experiences. And then if that's the case, usually when someone has a real healing breakthrough like that in a session with me, they feel so amazing afterwards. They feel so whole and connected and truly neurologically integrated and at peace and clear that I see them a week later, or even a couple days later for a support session. They're fine. Like, I'm good. I'm grounded. I'm aligned. I'm whole. I feel right. That was amazing. There's no cleanup to do afterwards. There's no ontological shock. There's no nervous system freak out to support and try to scoop up the pieces and help that person put themselves back together again. So this to me is the right way to go about psychedelic therapy. Now, I want to be clear here. The way that I help people get there and prepare properly is all about understanding the nervous system. It's all about understanding self-regulation. It's all about understanding secure attachment and right relating with oneself and the content of what's coming up inside of you during a psychedelic session. So this is exactly why, this course that I'm releasing, this is exactly what it's about. It's about how do you meet the content that arises within you, right? What's your attitude? What's your mental model? How do you work with body sensations? How do you work with thought loops? How do you work with bubbles of emotion coming up? How do you work with things that you're not sure what's going on there? It's a bit confusing, right? This is exactly why I've created the course I've created. It's to teach people this skill set. It's to arm you and empower you with how to heal yourself, the knowledge of how to heal yourself, how to meet what's arising in your own nervous system, and how to regulate it. Okay. And so this is to me the way to go. And not to be arrogant or pompous about that, but that's a reflection I get back from clients over and over and over too. Like they've tried the the PSIP approach, or they've tried the break your own boundaries, the kind of MDMA solo approach, or they've tried the I don't know, I'm just going to eat a bunch of mushrooms and hope that the realizations I have will turn into change in my life approach. And when they try what I'm showing them and they really get how to work with their own nervous system, how to meet the content in the right way, they know exactly what to do. They're I always get the same reflection, which is, this is the way. This is this is the way we do this. This is right. The way I was doing it before was wrong, right? So I want you to consider that. First of all, I want you to just consider put more emphasis on prep. Put more emphasis on understanding your nervous system, on understanding what healing is, on how to do therapeutic work for yourself, how to be your own therapist, how to meet big experiences inside of yourself. Put emphasis on an awareness, a self-awareness of your own window of tolerance and where you are in your window of tolerance. That's huge. Hopefully, if you're doing psychedelic therapy, you have someone to support you, whether it's a sitter or a guide or a coach like me or a therapist. And hopefully you have a really good relationship with that person, because that's super important too. Hopefully, obviously, the set and setting, taking care of making sure you're well rested and eating a good diet and you're healthy and everything. It's a good moment, of course. All that still applies. That's all prep, right? And then if you get all that right, then when you take the medicine, you'll know what to do. You'll have a productive session. potentially every time. And then the need for integration is less or not at all, right? So that's the message I want to leave you with here. It's kind of my point on why integration, it's just, it's way, everyone's like, oh, I need to integrate afterwards. I need it, but they don't. What are they doing? You're journaling, you're going to a circle and talking about it. I'm glad that makes you feel better, but does that really integrate you? Does that make you a whole, contiguous, well-regulated, high-functioning nervous system again? In my experience, not so much. Okay, so I put emphasis on preparation. I think this is the way to go. Even as someone who's done psychedelics for a long time, I still put emphasis myself on preparation. And that's not just about getting yourself in the right setting and mental state and mentally, emotionally prepared. It's really about knowing how to engage the medicine in the moment as things are arising. And so this is what I want to teach you. This is, if you're interested and you're curious, there is a link down below in the description of the video where if you just go add your email to the link, you'll be put on the wait list and notified when the course becomes available. There will be a free course, which is a subsection of the larger paid course. So the free course is the content from the full course. It's just not all of the full course. So there's going to be a free course that will give you the roadmap of my understanding of what's going on in our nervous system and how to heal. And then the full course is all the techniques and the demos and all that stuff, and also an online ongoing community where we're going to be doing calls around all this stuff. So do consider the course. If nothing else, I would strongly encourage you to just put your email in the link below and do the free course. It's free. It's almost 5 hours of content there for you, where you can really get a different roadmap of understanding how to work with your own nervous system. And again, the model I'm showing you here is really about working with the nervous system. So it's universal. It works when you're sober. It works on the medicine too. It's built out of a lot of different modalities of therapy, but also it's kind of just common sense in a lot of ways. And it's been a game changer. So I would strongly encourage you to just go to the link below and go put your email in, take the free course at very least, consider the full course. This is a life-changing skill. This is learning how to be your own therapist. This is learning how to heal yourself. This is learning how to support yourself through psychedelics. So if you're doing self-directed psychedelic therapy, you don't have to rely on therapists, or you don't have to rely on, you can do this yourself. I'm trying to teach you how. So anyways, enough selling at you and yammering at you. I hope this makes sense. Let me know what you think. Does this resonate for you that maybe preparation is more important than integration? Do you disagree with me? Are you radically offended by something I've said here? Please let me know down below. And I hope you guys are doing well. Take care. Much love.